What's up, guys? Welcome to the live stream. Today's topic is the keto diet reversing type 2 diabetes. That's what we're going to be talking about today. We will be talking a little bit about Virta Health. We'll be sharing some examples from the community and providing some ways forward that can provide you with some options for what's best for you depending on your health scenario and your health goals. This is not medical advice, guys, just sharing information. Going to try to put as much of this as I can into a short live stream this Sunday. It's kind of an informal conversation where the community can come together and share examples and grow and learn our way forward. And today's topic is type 2 diabetes and the ketogenic diet, which is a hot topic right now and something that I've done some videos on in the past, some actual full content videos packed with the science, you know, my normal style. We're bringing the informal discussion to this to kind of allow some people to chime in and show some examples that we've seen from the community. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So type 2 diabetes and the ketogenic diet. Get ready, folks. Let's get right into it. Thank you guys for joining me today. We will be doing this each Sunday from about noon to 3, somewhere in that window. This is just going to be a formal setting, or I should say an informal setting, for people who have experienced the ketogenic diet and decided to go a different route, and also people who are still doing the ketogenic diet and want to share their stories about what their successes and failures are. We're not afraid to talk about failures on any given diet here, and that will be something that you'll see quite a bit on these live streams. Let's see. People, I see that, Veggie Welder Boy. Yes, I know that. I know that people want to see more what I eat in a day videos. Let's come back to that. Let's come back to that towards the end of the stream. And let's jump right now into the topic of type 2 diabetes and the keto diet. So I posted a community tab post just the other day about a video that I had previously done on the Virta Health diet plan. And in that video, video was posted in June or July of 2018. I outlined my concerns about the way that they were reporting the reversal of insulin resistance, not actually being involved with a carbohydrate challenge. And so they're basically reporting a number that summarizes your baseline blood glucose levels and your baseline hemoglobin A1C. It's actually the HOMA-IR. It's a little more complicated than that. It's not terribly important for the purpose of this video to break down that entire metric. But what is important is that there's no glucose challenge in a HOMA-IR insulin resistance number. And so it's not a test. It's more of a level of your blood glucose over time. And so if you're not eating carbohydrates, you're not challenging your body with carbohydrates, that number is going to be very low. And this was kind of overlooked in the community, that the oral glucose tolerance test was absent from the Virta Health study. And in that video, let me see, I'll pull up just to show you guys what that video looks like. I'll link this video in the card for you guys out there. I'll put a link in the description below and in the card after this live stream goes up and goes live, so you guys can check that video out. Okay, so about December 2018 rolls around, and there are several, what I would say, sophisticated nutrition experts and investigators on Twitter. There are some people who kind of champion just their one thing that they champion, whether it's the low carb people or the carnivore people or the vegan people, and they tend to just champion that one idea set. But then there's a few people who are really more broadly interested in nutrition research. Some of them are PhDs, like Lane Norton or Stefan Guillenet, and some of them are PhD students like Kevin Bass. And so these are three people that I find to be very informative and have somewhat of a skeptical look at different dietary choices and the research that's coming out. So they're not necessarily supporting one thing or another. Of the 3 people I just named, as far as I know, none of them are plant-based or vegan dieters. So the idea that this is some sort of a biased perspective based on a vegan agenda is not really relevant to the type of people that I'm talking about that are doing this type of investigation. And so in December, Stefan Guillenet actually caught on to this topic that I had mentioned in this video on his own. So he didn't actually see my video. Now I'm going to scoot this old Victorian chair that I'm sitting in that I found in a dumpster. I'm going to scoot this closer to the camera to show you guys his chain of tweets. His chain of tweets, so you can see the conclusions that he was able to draw about the Virta Health study upon the announcement of their 2-year follow-up. So what we see is that it looks pretty favorable. Improvements in weight, glycemic control, medication use persist after 2 years versus some of the measures rebounded somewhat after the 1-year mark, including weight regain, but not excessively. Okay. So his problem is with the use of the term reversal when it comes to diabetes, for type 2 diabetes. As in the original study, there were a few adverse events that could be linked to the intervention. One was cancer diagnosis and 5 cardiovascular events in the Virta group. So that's kind of an interesting thing that he pointed out there at the 2-year mark. In the study, there had been 5 cardiovascular events in the Virta group. Now, I'm not sure how many cardiovascular events occurred in the Neil Bernard plant-based diabetes, type 2 diabetes reversal intervention. So I'm just going to put that out there as a comparison to just mention that if cardiovascular disease is a concern for you, you may want to look into whether or not there were any cardiovascular events on Neil Bernard's plan. And when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about the basis under which this book was written. So if you're not familiar with this book, you need to familiarize yourself with this material. Many people in my audience are already familiar with that, but if you're just finding this video now, it looks like in the 2-year follow-up to the Virta, there were 5 cardiovascular events. I'm asking the question, how many cardiovascular events were in Bernard's study with using a plant-based diet to reverse diabetes? So one of my skepticisms of this program is the effect on cardiovascular health. Back to Stefan Guillenet. Okay. In contrast to the previous 2 manuscripts, in this one, they used the words remission and reversal, which he finds to be misleading. They define reversal as hemoglobin A1C less than 6.5% and no use of medication for glycemic control other than metformin. Okay. His commentary here is quite interesting, so let's continue. Let me zoom this in a little bit for you guys. There we go. Having to stay on a highly restrictive diet and metformin in order to avoid dangerous blood sugar levels is not diabetes reversal. It's diabetes management. I wonder if they made the reversal claim in the first 2 manuscripts and got shut down by reviewers. Man, that's a powerful statement there about what I think would be really common sense. If you're staying on a highly restrictive diet and also using metformin, this is for type 2, not type 1, type 2 diabetes. If you have to use metformin and stay on a carb-restricted diet, that's diabetes management. You haven't reversed the underlying diabetes. My opinion, the opinion of Stefan Guillenet, a PhD in nutrition. Okay, let's continue. In the manuscript, they compare their intervention to direct and bariatric surgery as an additional way to reverse diabetes. This is apples to oranges. The latter 2 have actually been shown to reverse the underlying pathology of diabetes, restoring carbohydrate tolerance. Such a key distinction there. Bottom line, the evidence to date suggests that the Virta intervention, which includes a ketogenic diet, is an attractive option for managing diabetes. Don't expect it to reverse diabetes unless you are accepting their idiosyncratic definition of what the word reverse means. And when he dropped those tweets back in December, I followed up, posted a link to my video and said, hey, I'm glad to see that some of the more sophisticated people who discuss nutrition on social media and Twitter are starting to catch on to what I've been saying on YouTube. Because it's separate worlds, man. It's universes that don't intersect. You understand? It's very different social media environment where one is where I can take 12 minutes of your time and make a video that explains a lot of stuff with science and show you the information and show you the metrics and show you what these people are talking about, versus Twitter where it's like, you got to be like, here's half a thought, the rest of that thought, some follow-up, half a sentence about that. It's a different platform. And I think it would really be a service to the health of people who get advice from social media to draw from not just one platform. And I know that most people don't do that. They're exposed in many platforms, but it seems like we get into where a lot of people who stay on Twitter don't have a big following on YouTube, and I think that's starting to change. I think that's one of the things that's starting to change and will be of prime importance in determining what options people see that they have going forward. Okay, so we see Stefan Guillenet jumping into the discussion and recognizing the downside of, and the differences, I should say, the differences of reversing diabetes through restoring carbohydrate tolerance and managing diabetes. You got low blood sugar, but you're still on metformin. It's different approaches. Yeah, I see you guys chime in on that. We got Dia French Blue talking about YouTube is the best platform when it comes to managing your time to absorb health information. I would have to agree with that, French Blue. Thank you. And we got Orion talking about blueberry cinnamon smoothies. I'm down with that. I am okay with that. In moderation, of course. Not too many carbohydrates. Okay, let's proceed. Proceeding into the next person to catch on Twitter. Next was Kevin Bass. All right, so Kevin, if you're out there and you catch this live stream, I'd like to thank you for what you do on social media. Your work on Twitter is usually quite impressive, and I'm pleased to see that you have begun to speak on YouTube more frequently, and I'd like to see more of that from you, if possible. Kevin Bass, PhD student, master's in nutrition. So this guy, back in January of 17th of 2019, so this year, Kevin Bass caught on with the contrary to claims, Virta has not reversed diabetes. And he wrote a blog post on a website that he has recently started blogging on. Not a plug, not paid to promote his website, but it's nutritionalrevolution.org. And it's a blog site where it's a pay model. So I can't actually read his whole article, but it will become free on January 30th of this year. So he's doing kind of a trickle out, rollout of next level pay per content. If you like his tweets, you can get into his blog. And so I'm just throwing that out there for you guys. If you're interested in his work, it is out there. And he's got a tiered model through which you can subscribe to his content. So I replied to him and said, hey, I also pointed this out in the same video. And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this video today, because sometimes you can't just expect to do one video one time and knock it out the park and then never touch that topic again. This is an important topic, and it's probably going to have to be revisited from time to time. Sorry guys, getting some notifications here. Okay, so we're talking about this video right here earlier. This is the one that I dropped. I will link this in the description if you haven't seen it yet. Now, let's talk a little bit about the difference between passive learning and active learning when it comes to something as important as your health. So I believe when it comes to your health, you have to take a very active approach to managing your health. You can't allow yourself to become complacent based solely on what somebody's telling you. Now, I'm going to share some experiences from this community and from a broader community in general about dealing with type 2 diabetes and the ketogenic diet. Does that mean that these examples alone or what these people are saying about this is the one thing that you should do? You should, and then you just watch a few lectures and then call it a day? No, you got to buy some books. You have got to learn to read medical research on your own, and that's active learning. It's not, nobody's going to hand you the answer to your medical problems. And that's why this stream can be helpful, because it can guide people in some directions and away from other directions, depending on what their goals are and what their preferences are. Because your food preferences will make a big difference as to whether or not you succeed or fail on any given diet. So if you really enjoy bananas and blueberries and oatmeal, the ketogenic diet might not be the best diet for you. But if you would rather die than give up bacon, then there are options that can allow you to make decisions like that with the ketogenic diet. And I say that with a little bit of, it's like kind of a tongue-in-cheek response, but I literally had people in my community, in my gym. I was talking to an Indian guy, and he said he's so concerned about type 2 diabetes and basmati rice, which is a staple in his diet. And I said, well, do you eat ghee? He was like, so much ghee, man, so much ghee. He was like, I would rather die than give up ghee. That's what he told me. And I was like, then you might have to give up basmati rice, man. If you'd rather die than give up clarified butter, then you're basically choosing clarified butter as your preference. So this is just, I'm just sharing an anecdote here. I can get a little closer back to topic, but that's the point, guys. I think y'all understand, like, how serious are you about bacon or clarified butter? If it's something you would rather die than give that up, then there are options on the table for you. Hopefully options that can bring you to good health, but it's not always the case. I'm just to be quite frank. So here's an example from the community I want to share with you guys. This was one of the comments that I pinned under that Virta video. This was a guy who said he's dealing with type 1 diabetes. This is different than type 2. So reversal is not really in the cards for type 1 because your pancreas is not going to start producing insulin in the same way that it did before type 1 diabetes occurred. Okay. I'm gonna have to come around so I can read this a little bit easier for you guys. This was Chuck Terrell in the house talking about, so I am type 1 diabetic, lived on the keto diet for 4 years, 4 years of hell. I am only 28 now and was on my way downhill health-wise. I switched to a plant-based diet, and holy crap, what an amazing thing. What an amazing thing. I now take 30% less insulin and eat on average 500 grams of carbohydrate a day with incredible control, which was not happening on 30 grams of carbs a day. This week's average blood sugar is 97. I will never go back to eating animal foods again, especially since so much science is now pointing to dairy being the reason why my pancreas is dead. Go plant-based. Boom, boom. Results on a plant-based diet, even with type 1 diabetes. Now, he's not going to be able to stop taking insulin for life because it's type 1. But that is an incredible testimonial. So when we get into the difference between active learning and passive learning, when it comes to something as important as your health, you have to understand that you cannot adopt a victim mentality. A lot of people are confused. A lot of people don't know what to do. They think they've tried everything. Case in point, under the same Virta video, we had a comment come through from somebody who really is struggling with a victim mentality when it comes to taking control of his health. Let's take a look. This was Kevin McArgel. I want y'all to see this because this is the difference between proactive, taking control of your health, and a victim mentality. To whom it may concern at Virta Health, apparently I pose some kind of risk to your reputation. I was under the impression your organization was on a mission to help people like me reverse their diabetes, being that it is the causation of all these complications. One would think that by reversing the diabetes so that prevention of further complications would be the objective, that someone like me would be the very kind of candidate to benefit from your program. So what qualifies someone into your program? Pre-diabetes, the ability to pay, employer's insurance. And then, I'm not even going to read this next line. He makes a reference to the Holocaust. Like, that's such a victim mentality. So he says, after watching hours and hours of Dr. Finney and Volek, I'm not worthy, it appears to be saved. I'm just a lost cause, a dead man. You people exemplify the very evil of the institution you profess to be rising up against. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Just follow the money. Blah, blah, blah. And then at the bottom, look at what he says, man. Look at this. Type 2 diabetes afflicted person, a dead man. Can y'all see that? Can y'all just see how terribly confounded these people are? This guy is with a victim mentality. Yeah, you have got to take control of your health. You simply cannot think that somebody like Virta Health is going to come along and just save your life. Like, here I am, guys. I'm ready for y'all to save me from type 2 diabetes. But my insurance doesn't want to pay for it, or this or that. Things aren't working, so I guess I'm just a dead man. Like, damn, I'm not trying to mock this guy, but you have got to overcome a victim mentality. And look, you can succeed in managing your diabetes on a ketogenic diet. It's a fact. It's proven. But if you want to reverse the underlying insulin resistance, I'm going to say I don't believe yet that it's been proven that a ketogenic diet can do that. It's questionable. I've been digging into the research that goes beyond the scope of this live stream that I'm going to share in future videos. And that's something that I've got a lot of stuff on the table, on the plate in front of me. And I'm not quite sure yet how I'm going to break it down, if it's going to be a big video project or a series of smaller ones. But there's going to be a lot of information coming from this channel on the topic of insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes and diet. Because I think that's really one of the big crises that we face right now as a country. You and me and your next door neighbor too. A lot of people are confused. They don't know what to do. So what are you going to do? When the trials come, are you going to run? Are you going to adopt a victim mentality? Or are you going to start active learning and take control of your health as best you can with the best options on the table based on the information that the broader community in nutrition is aware of? Or are you going to get siloed into this one way of thinking where it has to be this, it has to be high fat, low carb, it has to be that way. So it's the healthy way. Because if I pulled up more comments, you guys would think it would be absurd. People claiming that, getting more notifications. Vegan Gains just dropped a video. Everybody on my live stream is just like, zip, peace. No, I'm just kidding. All right, guys. So what I wanted to share with you was that. Let me, before we go, now that we've talked about active and passive learning and the victim mentality, I want to share with you guys one other thing, which is different options. I want to put some different options on the table before we move on. Okay, folks, I would first like to ask any of you guys in the comments, is the audio coming through correctly? Is it in sync with the way my mouth is moving, or is it off by a few seconds? That's what I want to know. Because we have been having some audio issues, not during the live stream, but after the live stream. Once it uploads, goes onto the internet, and then all of a sudden the audio's off. And so it's kind of frustrating. I've been dealing with it. I've just been pushing through. carbs and coffee, thank you. I'm going to remember you said that. And then watch what happens, Sonia and carbs and coffee. Watch what happens when this video goes live. If it's anything other than in sync, we know that something's up and it's unacceptable. Okay. So two options that I want to put on the table for you guys. If you're considering a high-fat, low-carb diet to manage your diabetes, would be an alternative to reverse the insulin resistance permanently using a plant-based diet. That's correct. And one of the best programs out there right now, not sponsored to promote this, but just sharing what I have seen and learned, would be Mastering Diabetes. That's right, it's masteringdiabetes.org. They have a free training program, and just want to show you guys some of the testimonials. We've got people, they work with people who have type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Check out this testimonial from someone with type 2. When I first started the Mastering Diabetes program, I was pre-diabetic and very overweight. Since adopting this program, I have lost at least 70 pounds, and my diabetes is now gone. The lifestyle is the best plan for achieving lasting health, even if you don't have diabetes. That's right, reverse type 2 diabetes. His A1C is now 5.4. That is results, undeniable results that can be obtained by anyone. It doesn't matter how siloed you get into thinking that you've got to eat a high-fat diet. You give yourself a few weeks working with somebody like the Mastering Diabetes program, and I guarantee you that they are going to upend your results. They are going to change the frame. We've seen it. We've seen it. People in my comments talking about type 1 diabetes management effectively, being able to eat lots more carbohydrates than they were on the keto diet and being healthy as well. Okay, so another option that you guys would have as an alternative to Virta, if you just want to get into this topic a little bit, maybe you don't want to sign up for the free training course at masteringdiabetes.org, but you want some information. You can pick up a used copy of Dr. Neil Bernard's book, Dr. Neil Bernard's program for reversing diabetes. Used copies of this float around on Amazon as low as $6.58, sometimes even less than that. I picked up a copy for $3.50 one time with free shipping. And you know what I did? I ended up giving it away to a family friend who was confused. And I'll tell you what, I don't think she took the advice, man. She looked at it and she was like, wow, this is different. And didn't take the advice. So, active learning, refusing to be a victim. That's what it's about. We got Orion saying it's a little bit laggy. That's the problem with the live stream, y'all. It's not perfect. It's laggy. That's why I'd almost rather put my time into making actual videos that I know are going to deliver my message to y'all and to the people who need it the most. So, boom. What we're going to do is say to you guys, oh man, once again, you guys know. A lot of y'all are familiar with this material. You've seen it on the channel and in the plant-based community. But to anybody else out there who's looking for alternatives to management or reversal of type 2 diabetes, I want y'all to know it's not just Virta Health and the low-carb crew, the high-fat diet is not the only answer. And that answer might only provide management and a restrictive diet, whereas a plant-based diet might have the power to reverse the underlying carbohydrate intolerance and insulin resistance, and then you can be diabetes free. With type 2, you can go back to normal, healthy lifestyle, healthy insulin function, and carbohydrate metabolism. All right, guys, it's totally off the cuff, just an informal discussion on a Sunday afternoon. These are the live streams, the Keto Survivor live streams. I did the ketogenic diet and it made me skinny, fat, and sick and damn near dead, but I survived. The question is, will you survive the ketogenic diet? Not with a victim mentality. That's a fact. So get it together, come join the community, hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and make sure to tune in to some of my actual videos. This is just a live stream, y'all. It's just an informal discussion, just me, the community, the crew, Pac, and E40. So y'all know what time it is. Red Pill Vegan, next.